In the news this week, senior civil servants faces potential job cuts as Labour Party seeks ways to reduce debt.
Plus, local farmers and beekeepers left out of pocket as thieves turn their focus to beehive stealing.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Lung and Daniel Staniscott.
Good evening. The Labour Party has shocked the states this week by announcing their plans to cut senior civil servants and place departments under efficiency reviews. Meanwhile, overseas workers will find it harder to stay as the party promised to reduce the state's nomination lists. Andrew Fuster reports.
With the budget in red and a recession underway, Labor announced ambitious plans to reform the public sector. Some might find the pill hard to swallow.
I'm cutting 20% of the state executive service, which is a significant saving, but clearly the state executive service has grown too much over the course of the last 8 years, and there needs to be some trimming.
The drastic reforms include using key performance indicators to measure the efficiency of government departments. The plan also includes a 20% cut in senior executive positions and department chief salaries linked with performance. But the Deputy Premier said it won't work.
What Mark McGowan has is slogans and a strategy, apparently, to get rid of as many public servants as he can.
Although some experts believe that KPIs are a good measure of efficiency, the government argues that Labor's plan will put more people out of work as the unemployment rate remains high. Labor's also promised to reducing the current skill occupation list and demands the federal government to remove Perth from the regional migration scheme, forcing employers to hire local people instead. Andrew Fuster, WAMN News.
There is a substantial increase in cases of beehive stealing as Australia struggles to satisfy its huge demand for honey. Everyday Australians are constantly competing with overseas buyers, and beekeepers fear that the trend will only get worse as supply won't increase in the foreseeable future. Nelson Liu with this exclusive.
Bees like these ones are valuable to the food industry, and thieves apparently know it, with large numbers of hives and bees stolen in WA.
Just a month ago there was about 30 or 40 hives stolen from various beekeepers around WA in the forest.
Hives have been taken during the night, beekeepers unaware until it's too late. The thefts come as demand for honey soars, its value rising because of shortages.
It's just basically stealing, during hard times.
It's raised concerns about the financial and production costs to commercial and amateur beekeepers involved in honey production and pollination.
You can lose up to about 200 kilos of honey from one hive in a season, so that's quite a fair loss in their production.
Agricultural advocates say there have only been a small number of thefts despite the negative impact.
There's been some groups of 15 or 20 hives and others that have only had 4 or 5.
Beekeepers are fighting the problem using technology, including tracking devices in hives to trace offenders, but they're also worried they could be harder to stop without constant surveillance. The Department of Agriculture and Food says they're not aware of a trend in beehive thefts in WA, but say any thefts should be reported to police. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
A snap rally was held in Bribbalake this week as local residents fight against the Royal Highway extension construction. Hundreds of people attended the protest as the government pushed ahead with the construction less than 1 week before the appeal on the Federal High Court. Residents argue the road has no business case because it doesn't link to the port, while the Greens urged the opposition commit to tear up the contract.
The point is, they can tear it up. They can commit to tearing it up now. If they delay, the costs are likely to be greater.
WA Police have received a new state-of-the-art 3D camera which has been used to speed up crash scene investigation process. The camera is able to capture the crime scene for later examination and is the same camera used by crime scene investigators. This allows the police officers to reopen roads much sooner after a crash, which helps to reduce congestion.
Motorists don't like congestion, and the worst thing that can happen is you're stuck in a traffic jam waiting for a crime scene or a road fatality to be cleared. So this cuts it by half. So we've had 20 actual incidents where this has been trialled, and it saved about 60 hours of time.
US President Barack Obama has ordered a broad review after Russia has been accused by intelligence officials for allegedly interfering with the elections. During the campaign, Hillary Clinton's emails have been leaked to WikiLeaks, causing huge embarrassments. Donald Trump's camp, however, challenged the allegations and accused agencies of being upset about the election outcomes. The report will due next month before Mr. Obama leaves office.
Political turmoil has struck South Korea as parliamentarians vote to impeach the country's first female president over accusations of extortion. President Park Geun-hye's impeachment was voted on overwhelmingly by South Korea's National Assembly, 234 to 56. Prosecutors will now work through the impeachment proceedings, which could take up to 180 days. Opponents of the president took to the streets to celebrate the news, as the president formerly faced massive protests as news surfaced of her alleged corruption.
And finally this week, Perth commemorates America's first astronaut, John Glenn, who labelled Perth as the City of Lights. The council house was lighted up with the American flag colours to commemorate Mr. Glenn, who passed away this week at the age of 95. In 1962, during the space flyby, Perth residents switched on their lights in order to create the glow for the spacecraft. The mayor paid tribute to Mr. Glenn, saying he's a pioneer who made admirable achievements and touched many lives of Perth residents since 1962.
He's a legend, isn't he?
Absolutely. And those are the top stories you need to know this week.
We have the latest news on our website and Facebook. Catch you next week.
See ya.